Hello and welcome to Ingression. I'm your lovable, enlightened instructor, Incredible Hulk. Today we're going to cover the best phones to play Ingress on. They are the tools that we absolutely must use and they can improve your game. Maybe you don't have a lot of money though. We're going to cover things across all different price ranges to make sure that you know what the best phone to play our favorite game on is. To start off though, why should you trust me? Obviously, I'm someone who plays Ingress a lot, but all I do aside from that, it seems like, is sit in front of green screens with Intel maps behind me. At least that's what it seems, but it turns out that when I'm not here, when I'm not playing Ingress, I have to pay for the gas for Ingress, and when I'm doing that, all I do is sell phones all day long and read about phones and study up on phones. So I am your phone guy, and this is why I decided to tackle this topic on the phones to play for Ingress. Now, I know that there's going to be some differences in opinion as far as what I say. Feel free to post whatever you believe is the best phone at different price ranges down in the comments below. I will say, however, there's a few things that I'm doing. Number one, I want to make sure that this is across all the carriers in the US. It's something that you can find on at least 2 or 3 of the major carriers. It's not locked into just one of them. Like my particular phone, I have the Motorola Droid Turbo is locked into one. It's also something that you can hopefully get easier in the US, that you don't have to go and wait for an invite for or buy it on a Tuesday. So we're not talking about Oppos, we're not talking about OnePlus 1s. Although they're fantastic phones, that's not what I'm referring to in this case. And a lot of these phones that I'm talking about, they actually aren't out right now. They're coming out in the next few months, so these are going to be the best phones for March, the best phones for April, the best phones for May, early May. Hopefully I'll revisit this again. So these are phones that are available to almost all the carriers that hopefully you can get, even if it's and use even on a prepaid network in the US, and there are phones that are coming out in the next little while, because right now is actually not the best time to buy a phone. We just had a giant conference where they announced all of the best phones that are going to be coming out, all the top tier ones to the bottom tier ones. So it's better to wait a couple months, a month or two. If you're watching this in March, if you're in April, May, this is around the time you should be buying your phone, because otherwise you're going to be buying a phone that is going to be outdated in a few days instead of just a few months as we usually have. So to get started on the list of the best phones for the money for Ingress as of March/April 2015. Starting in the bargain basement category, let's say that you're on a prepaid network, you don't want to spend a lot, and you have a phone that is just not able to run in Ingress at all. Maybe it's a little candy bar phone, and the only game you can play on is Snake, and you want to take a photo of the people playing Ingress, but you can't because your phone doesn't even have a camera. But you want to get a phone that's great for under $150. It turns out you actually can. You can play Ingress on a phone that is under $150, brand new, and that is going to be the Motorola Moto G. This has been a favorite phone across all of the different carriers pretty much. You can see it looks great. It was made by Motorola back when they were still owned by Google. That was when it was designed. It doesn't have a lot of junk on it. It has Android 5.0 available on almost all carriers right now. This is a fantastic phone. It's quad-core, has a decent GPU. For under $150, you really cannot beat it new from a major carrier. So under $150, I'm going to go hands down with the Moto G. Stepping up in the $150 to $300-ish range, we actually see the Moto G's big brother, and that's going to be the Moto E. Well, it's not actually the big brother, it's actually the younger brother, because it's the newer model. It is the one that's going to have a few extra things. It's going to have the newer 64-bit processors, which don't matter to you, but in the end, it'll actually help you with Ingress a little bit. And both these phones have great battery life considering what they are. They have almost a 2400 milliamp battery. For reference, the Samsung Galaxy S5 has a 2800 milliamp or 2600 milliamp. So this is a battery that's just barely smaller than those, and it's not as power hungry. So you're going to get a great battery life when you're playing Ingress on these phones. And you really can't get something that's going to have a better thing in that, better updates in that price range, really. You can sometimes see something maybe on sale that'll be down in the area, like I just recently saw an LG G2 for $210. That would be a good go-to as well, but I'm talking about retail price, standard, buy it every day, any store. Moto E is your thing. And up to $300, there's really nothing else that you can find that's going to be worth that extra money, because the Moto E is an MSRP of $850. That is the MSRP. That is what you buy it from the site at, directly from Motorola. So it's probably actually going to drop in price a little bit over time. So it's hard to beat it at that $150 price point, at least at this point in time. And that is available as of now. So next up in our $300 to $450 range, this is a phone that is going to be coming out very, very soon, and that is the Asus Zenphone 2. When I saw the specifications on this phone for its price. I was floored. I was amazed. This is an astounding phone for the money, and it's a sexy phone for the money. These are all very sexy phones, but this Zenphone at its price range is especially amazing because we're going to be looking at between $300 and roughly $440 for this phone. What is so amazing about it, though? Not only does it have a huge battery, a 3,000 milliamp battery built into it, which is on par with top-tier flagship phones, it is also going to be running a drastically fast processor. It has the Intel processor that is amazing as far as graphics go. We're talking about the same sort of graphics that you've got in like an iPhone 6, but this is on a budget phone. But this is also an Intel processor. It's going to be a little bit more power hungry, but I'll tell you, hard to beat at that price, especially with that huge of a battery in there. And most astoundingly, the top tier models of the Zenphone 2 are reported to have 4 gigabytes of RAM. That means if you have things running in the background while you're playing Ingress, it's not going to mess up your game as much and slow it down. So if you accidentally leave Angry Birds or let's say Endgame when it comes out open in the background, it's not going to affect your Ingress quite as much because it's not eating up as much memory, especially with that Android 5.0 and the update to 5.1. Moving on from the Zenphone to our more flagship models. This is kind of an introductory flagship. We're talking about things that are like $450 to $600, give or take. The ones that hopefully will be around free on contract, or if you're doing the Easy Pay or the Next or the Edge or the T-Mobile's Jump, are pretty affordable phones. This is another one that I was astounded was available at this price, and that is the LG Gflex 2 that is going to be available starting March 13th on Sprint for $504 with no contract. And this has the fastest processor that's currently out, the Snapdragon 810, which is dang hard to beat. It has a nice 1080p resolution screen on it, which means you get to see a pretty good amount of the Intel map on this introductory smartphone. And considering it's starting at this rate, at Sprint, hopefully the other carriers will have it at a cheaper rate, or one that's pretty comparable, probably around $550 give or take. And when you consider $504, that is $21 a month on Sprint's Easy Play plan. So if you're one of those people that's on T-Mobile and you have to do your phones this way, and you're looking at the top tier phones that are normally like $27, $28 a month, you're looking at around $21 a month for this phone. So it's a lot less in the long run for an amazing phone, 3 gigabytes of RAM. And it also has a fun little novelty that it's a curved phone that kind of fits in your hand better. But it's hard to beat that incredible CPU and GPU in that combo. And that's actually one thing I do want to address when I move on to our flagship phone now. The one in the $600 plus price range, the one that's $200 with a contract discount on major networks. And that is a debate that I'm sure will come up of the Samsung Galaxy S6 versus the other smartphones that are coming out. Because the Samsung now has their processor that they're using in their phone. They previously used them in international ones, but now in the US they're using it as well. And that's their Exynos 7420 processor. It is a great CPU, hands down. But when we look at the numbers, the GPU is pretty lacking. It's about the same as the last generation of the Snapdragon. That's the one in all the other major high-tech phones when we're talking about things like the Gflex 2. It has the Snapdragon 810. And the CPU side rules. Ingress is not going to be quite so CPU intensive at this level of incredible CPU. We don't have to worry about that as much. So I have to go with the Snapdragon 810. Its GPU is just better. And when you're blasting a level 8 burster in a field where you have 100 portals that are all having to calculate and display their shield knocked off and everything else, that GPU is going to matter even more than the CPU. So we're talking Snapdragon 810, which makes my recommendation for your flagship phone, your top tier, your best of the best that's going to be coming out sometime probably April, May-ish. We don't have an exact date on that. Most likely it is the LG G4. Its baby brother, the G3, last year's model, actually won Best Phone at the Mobile World Conference that just ended in the beginning of March, and that's after it had been out for months and months and months and months and months. That's how amazing their last phone was. This next one is purported to be even better. Bare minimum, we're gonna have what's called a QHD screen, so that is 4 times standard HD resolution on a screen. At least bare minimum of 3 gigabytes of RAM. Bare minimum. We're probably gonna maybe see 4, and that same QHD screen will probably be seeing a 3K resolution screen. So that TV that you saw, that's the brand new one that costs $2,000, is a 4K resolution. This phone is going to probably have a 3K resolution on it. Even if it doesn't, it is still an amazing phone that is going to be coming out. And it's also most likely going to have that Snapdragon 810 processor in it. There's been some rumors that maybe they won't do Snapdragon, but it's probably most likely, if it doesn't have the Snapdragon, I'll revisit this thing. I'll shoot another video for you guys. I have 10 minutes to sit in front of a green screen. I apologize for taking your 10 minutes for watching. That G4 is going to be an astounding phone, but if you really have to get something before that, if you have to choose between the Galaxy S6 and another phone, HTC One M9 is probably going to be my go-to phone for you guys. If for some reason the LG turns out they use their own in-house processor, there's a few rumors of that. They probably wouldn't do that because they're not completely retarded. I would probably want to see and wait until Sony comes out with their new Xperia Z4. It should be around the same time, give or take. So once again, at your base bargain basement level, the Moto G, it is already out right now. You can get an LTE version for it if you wish. That is sub $150, or 3G for around 80 to 100. The Moto E in the 150 to 200 or 150 to 299 range, and that is already out right now for 150 bucks. Fantastic phone. Beyond that, the Asus Zenphone 2 from around 300 to 450. It's going to be really hard to beat or find anything else that matches it in that price range, and it's coming out March 9th. It's actually out tomorrow from when I'm filming this video, or today now, in Taiwan, so probably a US release pretty soon here in the next month, give or take. Beyond that, LG Gflex 2, it's actually already out in Asia, so we've been able to see how it performs and see that it performs very well. And it should be coming to the US March 13th on Sprint, and hopefully pretty soon after that on the other carriers. And then top tier flagship phone LG G4 should be coming out sometime in April or May. We don't have an exact date as of right now, but Google it. I'm sure in a few weeks they'll have an exact date out for you. But it should be a fantastic phone. If you have to get something before that, look at the HTC One M9. Should be out towards the end of March, beginning of April. And those are your best phones for playing Ingress, hands down. You can disagree with me in the comments. Feel free. If you have a different phone, just go in the comments below and post what you believe is a different phone at those price ranges. Once again, I'm going with things that are kind of cross-carrier, available in the US, that you can probably buy in a carrier store, and you don't have to go anywhere too crazy, or you can find it from a major online retailer, and that is a brand new phone. You can find some refurb phones that are great, but I want to talk about brand new here. So once again, if you do have a disagreement, post it down in the comments below, and to make sure that you're always getting the best tricks and tips in regards to Ingress, and now guides on phones as well, from someone who just does that all day, aside from Ingress. Just make sure that you click that subscribe button right there. Just click subscribe. Just click it, and it'll take you, and it'll subscribe you to my channel. It's the entire channel. It's not just Ingress videos. I do apologize in advance. I'm sure there's going to be some videos of me just staring at the camera, licking my lips while I have a hula skirt on. I don't know what it's going to be, but you can just skip those. Just look for the ones that say Ingression. And as always, from Ingression, I am Incredible Hulk. You guys go out there, play, have some fun, try not to break your phones.